What's gusto, Overwatch fans? Welcome to another edition of the Watchpoint Post-Show, live from the Blizzard Arena in Los Angeles. It's day 2 of the play-ins presented by Xfinity, and I'm your humble and gracious host, Malik Forte, joined as always by 3 of our big brain analysts. We got Zoe, Brent, and Sideshow. Guys, how was today? Did it keep you guys on your toes from start to finish?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely on the toes. I think the games have been not quite gone the way we thought they would, to be perfectly honest.
Yes,
I think the Seoul Dynasty, that was an upset. We didn't know what to expect from Seoul.
Yeah.
And on the other side, the first one, that was a clutch match. It couldn't have gone any further.
Really great games all around. The only disappointing factor has to be the fact that Josh can't tell the difference between Ryan Reynolds and Ben Affleck is what we found out behind the scenes.
How is that even possible?
Yeah,
How is that even possible?
Still perplexed about that.
You literally cannot tell the difference.
I don't know who they are. I only know Overwatch. I was just watching the game.
Yeah, you were born and bred for Overwatch.
Okay, Josh. Okay, we're gonna let you ride with that one for now. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and jump into the matches. Starting off with that barn burner we had to start off the day between the defending champions, the London Spitfire, and the Shanghai Dragons. Now, the Spitfire, we didn't really know what to expect from them coming in. They were a little bit lackluster toward the end of stage 4. They came in, top of the match, shocked us, and then it was just back and forth after that.
I mean, the first two were utter and sheer dominance coming out of the London Spitfire. Shanghai Dragons had no clue how to actually answer that. I was very surprised to see Birdring on that Doomfist actually excelling. He really took Youngjin for a walk there.
Yeah, it did very well. And then on Numbani, London dominated as well. And this is a London Spitfire squad that looks like they can go a long distance. Their coordination's very good. Fury on the Orisa playing incredibly well as well. And DM was just getting, honestly, nothing done on that McCree. It wasn't a composition or a strategy that was working for Shanghai. So they made some adjustments going into map 3, and it worked out so much better for them.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was all about Ding as well on the Pharah. He stepped up so much coming into this. Prophet was kind of having free reign in a lot of the previous 2 maps, but Ding coming in really revitalized them, which is strange as well, because Shanghai Dragons are a team that don't do too well against Pharahs in the 5v5 match.
This is monstrous.
This was disgusting by Prophet. It flashbacks to Volskaya Grand Finals, of where he just absolutely clutched out of his mind on Tracer. But this is where it started to take a turn for the worse for the London Spitfire. They didn't end up doing too well here on Hanamura, moving forwards into the series. And a big part of this was Ding. This match honestly came down to this Pharah v Pharah matchup, Ding versus Prophet, who could get the better of it in a lot of the times. And it was often Ding who was going to be getting the better of it. It just tends to happen when you're going up against with a specialist, I say, against the jack of all trades, which is Prophet.
I mean, Ding's Pharah is just so outstanding. I don't think we can stress this enough. His aerial superiority is just better than what we see from anyone else. His movement, his mechanics is absolutely sublime. So it is a tough ask for any player really to go toe-to-toe on that one.
You look at Gibraltar and the way that it ended here, this one could have been a win for the Shanghai Dragons. It definitely looked like a win for the Shanghai Dragons. Yeah. This series could have very easily gone the other way. It was an 8-mapper, absolute blinder, like could have been a grand finals kind of feel to it.
And no team was really attached to the points either.
Well, you're right about that. Well, the highlights we just saw were of the first half. And at the end of the first half, it was 3-1 London. It looked like London was going to pretty much run away with it. I thought they were, but apparently I had my toes in my mouth because we went a full 8 maps. Let's go ahead and jump into the second half. Yes, that's more toe jokes.
Terrible. Honestly, awful. Here's the thing, though. The Shanghai Dragons, I think, were just really banking off the fact that they have arguably the best Pharah and Doomfist in the world on their roster. And it's a good meta at the moment to run Pharah Doomfist. We've seen a bunch of teams like the Guangzhou Charge get success out of this. And Shanghai, anytime they were able to get the Pharah and Doomfist together, they destroyed. And London didn't have an answer for it. No McCree was able to be fielded, really, from Birdring that was at the quality to be able to shut them down.
But unfortunately, all London needed to do was really stall out a lot of these fights from Prophet. He didn't need to overwhelmingly win the 1v1s. He just needed to do enough to kind of distracting, take away his impact, limit it, while the rest of his team were able to clean up the ground fight, which was more than capable for London Spitfire with the teamwork they've got. I mean, Fury and Gesture, just this monstrous tank duo, able to just seemingly clutch a lot of these fights off the back of their own prowess. It really is astonishing to see, and it's a big reason why we expect London to really make a run for it in the playoffs.
I really thought we're going to see more from the Shanghai Dragons on King's Row now that they have so much practice time. 3 times the charm, right?
Yep.
But unfortunately, that one was a draw.
Yeah, that ended up being a draw, which was good for the London Spitfire, honestly. It kept them in the series. Then Shanghai Dragons go over to Dorado, and this one, again, It seems like it's anybody's game, but Ding in the air, again, just couldn't be stopped. Birdring went over to the McCree, Prophet tried to match him on the Farah, nothing was working.
Yep.
Ding, again, and again, and again, just destroyed them on this Farah.
I mean, this is really what won them stage 3 already,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
Ding on that Farah, it was that kind of performance, and very few teams really found a response to that. Even if they made the right picks, they still didn't manage to get themselves into the right positions because, frankly, yeah, okay, so you took care of Ding, but meanwhile, Youngjin is down in your support line, absolutely demolishing them.
And I want to point out Badosin, because once we started getting to Dorado and Ilios, Badosin had made an adjustment in his gameplay where he wasn't just healing the rest of his team, he was putting shots into Ding and Coma whenever he could, and putting the Nano Boost always on Prophet to help in that Farah v Farah matchup. And between him and Prophet, they somehow managed to clutch on Ilios, London Spitfire's worst map by a long shot. And that's what it all came down to. This Farah v Farah battle where Badosin was so instrumental in helping it go the way of Prophet.
Yeah, not only was he in the right position to provide the necessary healing for them to win the ground war, but he was always there, adding the chip damage into Ding, getting the nano boost on Prophet, and this was the winning moment right here. I mean, just unreal scenes. The nano boost comes onto Prophet, he clutches it with a double kill at the end. This is one of the best matches of Overwatch I've ever seen, honestly. Hands down.
I agree with
The
you.
history between these two teams, just the fact that how far back it stretches between them, all the way back into Apex. Like, you've got so much here to draw on from both of these teams, and the fact that they finally managed to edge it out. Prophet ends up clutching it at the end, again, just cementing his name as a potential MVP candidate for the entire year. A GOAT figure, really, in the Overwatch scene all around.
Yeah, I agree with you. Instant classic this match was for sure, and as you can see there, Ding with the 88 final blows, pretty much validating his role star position today in this matchup. He was the final boss for the London Spitfire throughout the entire showdown between these two teams, in my opinion. It was awesome. But guys, you know what happens in Overwatch? Whenever you get eliminated, you got to go back to spawn. And unfortunately for the Dragons, it is their time to make that trip all the way back to spawn. It was a good season for these guys, though. You know, they pretty much turned around a fail.
Yeah, I mean, last season they barely walked out of the spawn, so it's crazy.
Oh, wow. Who's that in the back?
Oh, that's so good.
That's wholesome.
Oh, that's Dia.
Dia's in the
Dia
back.
in the back.
Beating up that pin.
He's ready to hit the
Get it out of
pinata.
here.
Yeah, well, they thoroughly did beat that pinata, you know? It's a totally new team apart from Dia, but they well and truly crushed this this idea of Shanghai Dragons as a franchise being a terrible one.
Right.
They destroyed it. I mean, Season 3 finalists, champions, and looking pretty strong heading into the postseason as well. They should be very happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, we got to big up the coaching staff there as well. They did spend the off-season with making the right adjustments, picking up the right players, meshing them in a way which really is working out for them. And they've had a phenomenal run this last stage rather. Very happy Shanghai Dragons fans. I don't think you can complain about that.
Yeah, I mean, disappointed, obviously, that they're out for me personally. As you know, I'm the biggest
As
Shanghai
the
Dragons
mega
fan.
fan.
That's true.
Your heart is hurting right
Didn't
now, man.
predict them today or yesterday, but still, I really did want to see them go far because I mean, what a better end to go for a franchise that was Norton 40 than picking up an entirely new team and then going really far the next season.
They're going to do big things next year
Yes,
as well.
they are.
You can feel it.
Indeed, you got to give it up for general management. All the moves they made, adding Guangzhou early on in the season, Envy eventually. It was a good season for the Shanghai Dragons, so they should definitely walk out of here with their heads held high. But guys, coming up, the Charge entered the play-in tournament looking hot, but was it enough to take down the Seoul Dynasty? Don't go anywhere. We got all that action from that match coming up.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
when the Seoul Dynasty didn't make the playoffs last year, there were a lot of hearts broken. So having their chance this year, they'd have to go up against the red-hot Guangzhou Charge to make that happen. And we got another doozy on our hands in this matchup. Fleta definitely showed why he is heralded as one of the best DPS players in Overwatch today.
Yeah, we need to give context as well to this match in general, because it looked like Guangzhou Charge were really heating up and gearing up for a massive run into the playoffs off the back of Nero's phenomenal Pharah play, off the fact that they've got Eileen, who's a phenomenal Doomfist player. And Seoul we hadn't seen much of in this meta, if anything at all, but what we had seen at them was quite uninspiring. It wasn't the greatest of gameplay, it wasn't particularly flashy, so a lot of us had low expectations coming in, well, in fact, Seoul shattered them.
When we asked the fans on the social poll earlier today, Seoul was the team that people had the least faith in to be able to make it out of this play-in as well. So this, even though it doesn't feel like an enormous upset, it really seems like it, actually.
It really is, yeah. And it's a huge win as well, I think, for Seoul as a franchise. This is a team that didn't make it into the playoffs last year. This was a redemption moment for them. Again, this is a team that's supposed to be the pride of South Korea. They're representing the capital city of Seoul. A lot of players, I know for a fact, sort of put off contracts from other teams just so they could play for Seoul. That's how much it means to them, essentially, to play for this team. So now that they're in playoffs, I imagine it is just tremendous right now for the entirety of the country as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can't fault Charge. They are, if we're looking at the lineup, they're young players, right? Those are all kind of new to the Overwatch League, and they had Seoul Dynasty managing to like force their game plan onto them. I feel like Charge was just not following through with what they are good at. They didn't play to their strength. They got forced into playing that Reaper Doomfist composition, which just didn't fit them. It didn't fit their style. It didn't fit their preparation either. So it was slightly upsetting to see that, but also they had a really, really great run, and you can't really fault them for that.
I totally agree with you there, Zoe. I think the Guangzhou Charge expected this to be a battle in the skies between Nero and Fleta. I think they 100% thought Fleta would be matching Nero on the Pharah, and instead Fleta pulls out this incredible McCree, dominates Nero and Eileen, and forces the Guangzhou Charge into playing their game. And for Guangzhou, I would have loved them to try and take a page out of Shanghai's book and just push forward with that Pharah and Doomfist and try and exert so much pressure on Seoul Dynasty. Okay, you maybe died to Fleta a little bit more than you would otherwise intend to, but see if it works. Play to your strengths. Try and play that style. And instead, they slowly watch the game slip away from them as it just dribbled out of their fingers.
But across the board, I mean, for a new franchise coming into this year that had a pretty abysmal stage smack bang in the middle, not bad, you know, not bad considering where they placed so far. I mean, this is a team that, honestly, a lot of people were just considering to be a low to middle of the pack team, and they really did turn up towards the tail end of the season.
Yeah, and I love that that was on the back of some real surprising star performances. I don't think anyone, maybe except from the Charge's coaching staff, really expected to see that much of Nero, but Nero was out there crushing the cream of the crop. Of course, Brett knew all along.
You thought he'd be one of the greatest players?
Yeah, you got to go back and look at some of my tweets. It's there somewhere, trust me. I mean, but he was my
even a blind squirrel, I think.
He was the guy I voted for Rookie of the Year. Was my candidate, was Nero. Now, we're yet to see who's going to be winning that award, as far as I'm aware, but here's the thing. Like, he was a real candidate for it, given the fact that he's just come in fresh off the... I'm not going to say off the boat, because he didn't go on a boat over here, I'm pretty sure.
No, they all swam according to you.
But, I mean, he's 18 years old, he's coming in, he's absolutely bopped on the main stage. A lot of players, they kind of just flake off and flounder when it comes to it.
Yeah. I think it took a lot of people by surprise that he outperformed so well this last stage, for sure.
Yeah. You've got to ask as well, how far can the Seoul Dynasty go? Because Marvel looked incredible on the Sigma. And honestly, this tank line for the Seoul Dynasty was performing incredibly. And Marvel is probably the best Sigma player that we've seen so far. I would
think
say.
so. Yeah, I mean, his accretion kills were just amazing. It's not even the kills aspect. It's the fact that he was landing every single stun. I mean, realistically, a better stat would probably be accretion assists. Just how he's setting up a lot of the fights as well. Because he's hitting the stuns onto
That's what I think
targets.
accretion kills are. They're kills that involve accretion, I believe.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Otherwise, that'd be an absolute.
Well, I'm going off. I'm going off the name.
Imagine that would be like his actual kills.
Yeah. I don't know too much of the English language, but I do know that it kind of means kills.
Do you know what accretion accretion means, Bren?
It's like the accumulation of objects, is it not?
I thought we looked that up. We actually looked that up backstage.
Yeah.
You know, don't believe this. Well, Josh, we've seen a lot of this new meta over the last 2 days, but I think you saw something that you'd like to break down to help us explain it just a little better.
Yeah, there was a bit of an interesting battle on the Horizon Lunar Colony, this map that ended in a draw between the Guangzhou Charge.
Yeah.
Do you want to learn, Bren?
Sure.
I'll teach you, don't worry about it. So we'll take a look at this telestration, and I want to run you guys through how this Doomfist and Reaper composition works, because it ends up being a weird scenario where there's so many shields in the game. You know, you've got the Orisa shield, and then you've got the Sigma shield. There's not really any point in trying to break it. The shield break is going to be pointless. So instead, we're running heroes that just kind of leap around behind it instead. So you're going to get Reapers kind of teleporting into the backlines, Doomfists going way past the shields. That's the name of the game here. So let's focus in on what the Seoul Dynasty are attempting. Here comes a halt. So the halt actually at the back here is not really going to achieve much, but instead, let's focus on the halt from Michelle, which comes out. And here's this halt. And what it's going to do is it's going to set up 4 Fits to go for these Doomfist punches, the rocket punches. So every time there's a halt being used, there's a Doomfist punch. And you can see here, if I wind it back a little bit as well, that it's Eileen actually peels for this by going for his own punch and punches Fits away to kind of make space here. So the halt's very important to sync up with the Doomfist. Now the next step to this composition as well, you'll see that both Reapers are now in their enemies' backlines, almost at the exact same time. Once the halts have come out, it's now the time for the Reapers to see what they can get done. Now, it's Happy that ends up much more in the thick of things early on. And you can see that as he gets a lot of damage done to himself, but also to everybody around him, it's the Sigma player here, Hopper, who's getting angles behind the shields, going on a bit of a flank angle to try and assist him and see if they can come up with kills. Meanwhile, Fleder doesn't really get much done on the other side. So, okay, they then use Wraith Form to try and disengage. A weird little scenario where both Reapers are just crossing paths with each other as like 2 ships crossing in the night.
It happens.
Yeah, but it's a really strange occurrence that happens again. Now, here's another halt. You can see it just sucked them all in together. And that, again, as you'll have known, is going to set up for this enormous rocket punch across the map again. So this, again, is just a set play that teams are going for over and over. Now, as Fitz retreats, Eileen does the same thing. He's peeling. He's taking advantage of the fact that Fitz is always the one going first. So he does his own rocket punch to kill Fitz across the map and gets that pick. Meanwhile, Happy is in the backlines again. So you can see, really, that this meta revolves around wildly fishing for rocket punches as the halts are coming in and sending your Reaper into the backlines and cycling these plays over and over again so that you've got an opportunity to go for that pick with a punch and then throw your Reaper into the backlines. And it's how these two teams are kind of battling with those. And whoever manages to come out on top ends up winning the team fights.
I'm not going to lie, that looked like ping pong to me.
It is a bit of ping pong.
I love it.
Going back and forth. But it's so different to what we expected this meta to be. People thought it would just be shield break. Right. Just people literally shooting shields with Symmetra forever and ever. But instead, it's much more about getting damage on people behind or around the shields.
I do wonder, though, as well. I mean, is it not early days to say that could be the case for teams that don't have Doomfist
This could
players?
all totally change.
Yeah, and the more we move into playoffs, I mean, we've seen teams like the Atlanta Reign, they've been practicing with the Symmetra, they've been practicing with other heroes. What if you don't have a good Doomfist player? You can't really be going for this. Like, the reason these teams are getting away with it is because Fitz is phenomenal and Eileen's phenomenal. Teams that don't have a good Doomfist player probably not going to be getting away with the same stuff, which is drastically going to change up how teams approach each other as well in a lot of these team fights. It's super exciting, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be a great playoff, man.
Yeah, I've been loving it. I've been loving this meta. It's high octane, fast pace. It's great. Well, guys, you know what time it is. Unfortunately, we have to do this to another team because in Overwatch, when you're eliminated, you go back to spawn. And it's back to spawn for the Guangzhou Charge. Such a good showing from these guys, especially in stage 4, coming in here to the play-ins and really playing hard. But yeah, they're gone.
Only Wish. What in the Lord's name?
Man.
I forgot Only Wish was on the team. I'm not going to lie.
So did I. Whoa.
That's how
so
we found out that there is a player called Gary that was
in the back?
Gary's amazing.
Who was that?
I can't even tell who's in the back.
No.
could be anyone. I also only just realized that we didn't see Happy today at all, did we?
No, we did. We did. He was subbed in
Sure,
for a
man.
bunch of different maps. Yeah, but he was
Well,
mostly
I guess
playing
I
the
zoned
Reaper.
out.
Mostly playing the Reaper, right? And so he doesn't even really have that big impact.
Right. Well, guys, let's talk about the Guangzhou Charge because they really shocked me coming into. I mean, They had Happy, they had Shu. I expected them to be good, but I didn't expect them to be this good. And then Nero, of course, coming out of nowhere and pretty much making a name for himself. It's been a good year for these guys.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Absolutely.
Every single role that they've got, I think you can say that they've got some real star talent on it. You got Nero, you got Happy. Rio really cemented himself as a great tank the later the season progressed. His Orisa, his ball was fantastic. And then Hopper as well. Hopper just seems to be able to pick up any hero he can play. And you got a support line as well. You're stacked with talent because you got Shu and Chara as well. Two very good support players.
This is a team that hasn't quite fulfilled its potential in 2019, though. They did well, and they peaked in Stage 4 and went 6-1 and nearly made it through the play-ins, but they haven't quite realized their potential. But this was just a warm-up year for the Guangzhou Charge. 2020 is when this team is going to level up. They've got players that have now got experience. They're going to Guangzhou. This is a team that's stacked with talent. They've got Western players. They've got Chinese players. They've got Korean players. This team is going to be scary in 2020.
I feel that, man. I think they're going to be spooky. Spooky indeed. Well, now that the play-in tournament is complete, let's take a look at our bracket for the playoffs presented by Xfinity. This is our top 8 teams that will be playing in a double elimination tournament starting next week. Guys, what do you think of these first round matchups that we got on the docket here?
Oh man, honestly, after what we saw from the teams the last 2 days, I feel like anything goes.
Yep.
Seoul Dynasty came in with a big surprise, whereas Titans, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't think they looked very hot towards the end of this stage.
Yep.
So, but then again, we also don't know how they're gonna be playing around the Sigma and the Doomfists and whatnot. So yeah, I really honestly genuinely feel like everything goes.
What's your match to look out for, Brent? Because Hex and Semler said Excelsior Spitfire was the one that jumps out.
Yeah.
That ain't the one that jumps out to me.
What jumps
For
out to
me,
you?
it's probably going to be Shock Rain.
Yes.
I
That's
think
the one
that
I'm
is
looking
going to be
forward to.
amazing because we've hyped up Shock as the best team currently in the game, just in terms of how well they adapt to metas. And Rain have had a long time to prep for this meta in particular. I think this is going to be fantastic. These
Two
teams should be
undefeated teams of Stage 4
right.
as well.
There's
And
so much
Atlanta
going
did
into
announce
this.
that they have been preparing even before
Only
the
for this
last
as well.
week of the
Only for
Stage
this
4,
match.
so they better come prepared.
Another thing, too, their bravado. They actually believe it. They're confident.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, well, you have to believe it. You can't go on stage and not.
That's,
so.
to me, in this game, that's more than half the battle, just believing you can win. And the Atlanta Reign, they got that part down.
EMA.
So, yeah, it's a positive mental attitude, indeed. Well, we saw a lot more out of our new hero, Sigma, today. But did any of those moments make our most over the top? Find out right after the break. More Watchpoint coming right up.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Every day during the playoffs presented by Xfinity, we'll be celebrating a victory moment with our fans. So here are some of your victory moments from today. We got Samuel Mintz here, who was wearing both a London Spitfire hat and a Shanghai Dragons jersey. He
And
must
I
have
think
been
a
very
diva
conflicted.
jacket in the background too.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
clearly, you know, his heart was Shanghai Dragons, but his head was saying London Spitfire.
Right?
He'd always go with
Right? He had to be conflicted. Also, Ryan Davison tweeted out this very, very heartwarming moment earlier with Gesture and the young kiddo. He passed his jersey on too. It was such a good moment right
I
there.
thought he was calling a gesture a kiddo. That was a very happy gesture.
That was a happy gesture.
Applies.
Indeed. Well, guys, don't forget to share your victory moments with us using the hashtag #ShareTheGlory, and maybe you'll be featured on the post show as well. Now, moving along. You know what time it is. It's time for our top moments of the day. Over the top, baby. And we're starting off with what I was just talking about. Jester's post-match hug. Oh, so cute. Such a kind gesture there.
Yeah.
He
Jester
blushed.
used to
wholesome.
used to work in a nursery before he moved out
That's
here.
a lie, but okay.
Yeah, that is a lie. Yeah.
Moving
I
on.
could get away with it.
Nero with another crazy barrage. 5K this time right here.
Why would you lie about that?
I don't know. I don't know.
It was great that despite Naranok kind of being invisible for the majority of the match, he still had like that one big moment. So I'm glad that that's how he went out.
I'm just annoyed that he wasn't allowed the kill at the end on Marvel.
Stolen away.
That was brutal.
Robbed.
Give him the 6K.
Hard Rob.
Moving along, we have Badoshin with the clutch play on Watchpoint. Gibraltar
Here we
saved
go.
it for his team.
Yeah, I mean, Dawson, what an unreal performance from this guy. He was doing it all in this entire series, and this is the kind of play you need from your flex support player. He's clutching
What
where
I
it
loved the
matters.
most, though, was the player cam afterwards. He was so relieved
Yeah.
to
So-
see
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
What?
All right, and then this was a nutty play by Prophet. It kind of reminded me of last year when he sniped the Farah on Oasis. Kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me as well of the Volskaya clutch in the grand finals.
Yeah.
Where he just absolutely bopped. I mean, it's similar stakes on the line here in terms of the playoff run. What an unreal player Prophet is. Just being able to pick up these heroes after years and years. I say years and years, weeks.
Indeed. Last but not least, we have Marvel, who was popping off all match long as Sigma. And man, he was ready for the toe down today. He did his thing.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, but
You need to stop.
seriously, like this was probably the biggest surprise for me today. We knew that Hoppa is looking real good on that Sigma, but I did not have Marvel on my radar, like by any means.
He really put his toes where his mouth is.
He really, yeah, he really. Thank you, Brent.
I know people who like to do that, by the way.
Okay, well, cheers.
You think we're going to see more main tanks playing Sigma? You guys think we're going to see that?
I mean, for the two teams who have been showing that on stage so far, it's been working out phenomenal.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah, indeed. Well, let's take a look at our Twitch cheer leaderboard. Who would like to take the reins on this today? Zoe, go ahead.
Oh, yay. Thank you. I think nothing moved. Yay. Go
Big
teams.
movements on the board.
Big numbers.
big
Don't want to
numbers.
read them out.
Looking good. All right, in our individual leaderboard, not a silver.
I love it. I love it. Not a silver.
Oh,
King.
man.
Sounds like something a silver
So
would
wait, if
say,
you're not
though.
a silver, are you a bronze? Or are you a gold?
Yo,
That's my question.
I'm a bit annoyed. These nuts is out. I mean,
Yeah,
somebody's just donated out of him.
Oh, you've just said his name anyway, so.
He deserves it. He or
All
she.
right.
I don't know who it is.
Well, since we're on the subject of Twitch, I want to remind you guys to go pick up that Overwatch League All Access Pass so you can check out the live Q&A with Similar and Hex coming up right after the Watchpoint post show here at the desk. They'll be answering all you guys' questions. But guys, that's it for the play-ins. Now it's time for Top 8, the playoffs, coming to you live next week, presented by Xfinity. We're going to be back here on Thursday, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But until then, guys, we're out of here. Peace.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.